Uprising. I just want to clear up really quickly. I don't care if they don't like it because they feel like they don't like it. If there are arguments they can make as to why it's down,
there whole time. No, dude, no. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna go over a few things that when we were talking, that I was talking about when my mic was down. Thank you for pointing this out. First of all, I forgot to say hello to everyone. Well, I didn't forget, but I was muted when I said it. But hello, welcome back to the stream. My internet was out. So on the point where Sargon was talking about how Vaush is gonna get like fucking people to do this, it's the idea of historical materialism. I'm gonna sum it up super quickly and super reductionist. Throughout history, the main theme has been class antagonism, right, between the upper classes and the lower classes, right? And when the lower classes find out that the economic system / economic structure / governance structure, whatever, is no longer in their favor, they overthrow it and bring about a new economic structure / governance system, whatever. That's the idea of historical materialism, right? So the idea is, if now, in modern day capitalism, if we were to educate the working class that capitalism is not in their favor, eventually they will overthrow it and hopefully bring about socialist organization, transformation, whatever, transition. I don't know, whatever the word is. Also, I was talking about
downsides and it's not beneficial to them. I will always listen to.
On this, yeah, I said that like on this immigration issue that Sargon's failing to understand that.
So it doesn't matter.
The reason why people's wages are being lowered in the first place and why there are people, or how to word this, why there's such need for lower wages, right? It's because of the capitalists, and Sargon's failing to understand that, and he's trying to point the blame on letting the immigrants in the first place, while ignoring that part and not addressing it.
Distribution, or with universal basic income.
The solution.
Okay.
Also, Vaush, please don't copyright strike me or copyright claim me or anyone else, because my mic was muted and I was talking that whole time.
But you don't care about the well-being of the underclass when it comes to dealing with the negative externalities of capitalism.
Sargon?
How about I finish my point? I think that when you introduce low-value labor to compete with theirs, then you are deliberately attacking the value of their own labor. And I think that in and of itself is
the capitalist who's doing that. It's the capitalist who's driving down the wages.
An entirely negative thing. I think they become resentful of it, and I don't think they appreciate it, and I don't think it helps them. And I think that some like abstract promise that we're going to
Cool. They do become resentful, sure, right, to the wrong person because they point the blame at the immigrants instead of the actual their boss, which they should be, because it's their boss who is lowering their wages. And also they should also what was I gonna say? He said resentment and what? Oh, and it doesn't
helps them. And I think that some like abstract promise that we're going to redistribute, quote unquote, whatever wealth.
It's not abstract.
The billionaires managed to siphon off from them.
Incredibly minor. And this is one of the things, really quickly, hold on. So you don't care about all of the benefits, but you care about this incredibly tiny downside that can be compensated by other benefits. No. This is the issue. Wait, hold on. Because it's my turn now. This is the issue I have. This is why I hate the how do you call it? The sociopathy of the anti-immigration. You don't actually care about the well-being of these people. You advocate.
Do I not?
Hold on. You advocate against policies that help them. You advocate against the left. You advocate against socialist policies. You advocate against an expansion of welfare programs. You advocate against...
Look at that. Y'all see that on the stream? People in Vaush's chat are noticing me. That makes me happy.
That pans out to their betterment in the long run that ever so conveniently allows you to keep the brown people out of the country. Now, I'm not accusing you of being racist right now. I'm telling you, however, that it's very convenient to me that you claim to care so deeply about these people that in every other economic sense you overlook in every conceivable way. But now when there's a wedge issue that you can use to drive between the left and immigrants, you use that as an opportunity to pretend to care about these people. It's very strange for me.
Okay, Vaush, you gotta let him respond.
Oh, I would be delighted to hear a response.
You'd have to shut up first. I don't care whether you think I am a racist or not. Right?
I never said you were a racist.
Hey, let him
Vaush,
respond, Vaush.
Vaush.
Let him respond.
Maybe he should respond to the point I made. I even clarified I didn't call him a racist.
Accused him
fucking
quite a
mask
bit. Let him
Go
respond.
fucking mask
Right?
off. Oh,
You
ableist
naturally
slurs and
conflate
Vaush's
immigrant
views in
with brown
chat.
person. That's
sad.
your
Don't
pathology, not
do
mine.
that.
Jumping
In
right
my
to the race,
country-
even though I clarified I wasn't talking about race.
Vaush.
Let him respond.
In my country, the problem is actually
Vaush.
European immigrants, the Polish, millions of them come over. They're the ones who are competing with the low blue-collar working men who are there finding themselves struggling for jobs. The fact that you as a Marxist think it's acceptable to hurt their economic prospects in order to
Oh my god, I've gone over
somehow,
this.
and in a
It
very
helps them.
ephemeral way,
Let him
Who
respond,
Who gives a
Vaush.
fuck if
in a
it
very
helps them
ephemeral
or
way,
not? That's not
suggests
the
they'll
thing.
be
The
helped
thing
further
is
on
that
down the
Sargon
line,
of
I think
God is
is
fucking pointing the finger at the
optimistic.
wrong person.
And you are completely ignoring the fact that large-scale immigration
Holy
puts a pressure on public services that will never, ever be caught up to.
Now you can talk, Vaush.
I like how I
point the
even
finger at the person
specifically
who's
clarified I
actually
wasn't
lowering the
accusing of
wages,
being
brother.
racist, and that's what he decided to get offended
But
by.
I don't care whether you think that is. And I'm
Then
not
why
gonna
did you
fight it.
respond to it? All right, no,
He's
that's okay. Don't
because
worry
it's
about it. It's
funny.
okay. Okay, I'm sorry for upsetting you. Now,
He's
hold on.
made a- he's
Really
made an argument
quickly.
about a
Okay,
pay
Vaush.
cut.
So, right. So all of the evidence that I have seen indicates that immigration hurts native workers to an extremely minor degree, but the overall economic output provided by them is much higher. You used to pretend to be a whoa,
Stop.
These
No,
are
no, no,
neo-
no.
You
You
pretend-
just went on to me. It doesn't. I don't care
Stop
what you
it,
think I
Vaush.
pretend to be, right? Let's stop on that point.
Wait. Hey,
why
yo,
should they
Mods.
accept
I
any
was mid
loss
point there.
of- why
Hey, yo,
should they accept any
Carl,
loss
really
of
quickly.
income?
I understand
let
you
him-
know
let
this
him finish
because
for a
you
second.
used to pretend to be a
No,
you used to
finish
pretend to be
your
a
point.
classical
Finish
liberal.
your point, Vaush.
Thank you for
Don't
being here.
sneak a jab in here. Finish your point.
My apologies.
Oh, no, let him sneak the jabs. They reflect badly on him, not on me.
So
He
you
interrupts
used to
me.
pretend to be a classical liberal.
Thanks
One
for
of the
saying
concepts
hi
behind
to me
classical
in my
liberalism
chat
is the
from
idea
Vaush's
of
stream. I saw
maximizing
you.
economic output through the free exchange of goods and labor across borders. That's a pretty classic adherent to classical liberalism. It's pretty. I would say it's the piece of resistance. It's like it's the.
I wish Vaush would have like a further left take, but I know that he's not doing it so that he can try to appeal to like maybe the more like right-wing people or the more centrist people. But the talking point that immigrants are good for fucking native workers in general is a fucking neolib talking point. Who gives a fuck? If they want to come here, let them fucking come here, right? It's no one's fucking no one should be restricted to freely move if they fucking want to. Also, again, if you're gonna be like, oh, they're fucking bad because they lower wages, Sargon, you have to point the finger at the person who's actually lowering the fucking wages, you head ass. You're being fucking willfully ignorant. This shit is oof.
I actually care about the
absolutely
working
do.
class, and
You
for
also
that
make the
reason,
social
for that
services more
reason,
difficult to access.
really quickly, I
You make
have
them
a
more
quick
difficult
question.
to
I have a
get
quick
jobs.
question, then I'm done. Adam,
No, you haven't.
Adam,
responding to your point, Vaush.
Did you come into this discussion with an intent to appear like a neutral moderator, or were you comfortable
trying,
coming off
Adam. You
biased from the
called it.
beginning?
Vaush, you're interrupting far more than Sargon is. Okay, I'm just trying to let both of
Okay,
you speak.
even if Vaush is interrupting far more than Sargon is, you don't stop Sargon when he interrupts, but you stop Vaush, so you can go suck a nut.
But you keep interrupting Sargon more than Sargon is interrupting you. Sargon did just interrupt you, and I said, let you finish your point. Do you have a question for Sargon?
Well, no, I'd like to respond to his point actually.
What point did I make that you're going to respond to? Tell me what the point you're going to respond to specifically, just so you don't ramble meaninglessly about something irrelevant. Wait, what point? Wait, do you know? You just want to talk, don't you? You don't actually have a point to respond to. What point?
We're
Adam,
talking about immigration versus
what point,
a
Carl?
pay cut.
I can tell you when you shut up.
Vaush,
He's not talking right now.
Let Sargon respond, okay?
Right.
Please don't interrupt, and I won't have to interrupt you.
I'll ask him what point if he doesn't tell me what point he's responding to.
Vaush, I'm going to say something, and I don't care whether you like it or not. And if you, don't feel,
I'm sorry,
if you
Vaush,
don't
if
feel
this hurts
like
your
I've responded to it, then
feelings, I didn't
afterwards,
really
after I
care.
finish talking, you can ask whatever question you like. Is that fair
ask
deal?
another question. That's how it works. It's good. It's like a back and forth thing.
This mod is such a fucking biased fuck. Yeah. You can ask a question and then you can let Sargon respond, and then if Sargon doesn't answer your question, you can just repeat that question, and then if Sargon doesn't respond to it, I guess you can ask him again, and then if he doesn't respond, I guess you can ask it.
There's not. Look, I mean, just have.
He never gave me a point that he was responding to. I don't know what he's going on about. It sounds irrelevant.
But you're impugning me for not.
You know
being
what subject we're
unbiased.
discussing.
You're the one that keeps interrupting.
Oh no, what bothers me is that when I came here to discuss ideas and he wants to performatively jerk himself off.
His words are putting ideas out there for you to respond to.
Big brain ideas. I am overwhelmed by their legitimacy.
Are you a Trump fan? Because I see it seems like Trump was doing this a lot in the debates, Vaush. I'm seeing a little similarity here. Okay.
Listen, I'm a multiculturalist. I take from every culture I think has valuable input, including Trump. The Trumpian idea.
I don't want to mute you just because I think
for real though. I do just want to clarify. What point?
Sargon has the floor now. Let Sargon make his point. Okay.
Ask him what point he's fucking responding to.
Sargon, please.
Am I allowed to make the point, Vaush? Good. The point, Vaush, is you're just wrong about suggesting that mass immigration helps the economic prospects.
I don't care. I swear, if I was in this room,
and what's more, like I said, it hurts the access to social services and the long-term viability of social services. This is something we can see in my country. Manifest. It's so patently obvious, and yet we're in such a politically correct environment no one can mention. The NHS is constantly struggling. The schools are constantly struggling. We're constantly running out of housing space. We constantly need more houses built. This is demonstrably uncompetitive for the working class people, and I'm quite shocked that a Marxist would turn around and say, no, it's okay for their wages and their prospects to be hurt because I have a concern about the GDP. I find that really quite staggering.
Yeah, well, that's funny.
I don't see why, and that's just the economic argument as well. There are loads of social and cultural arguments against mass immigration as well, which I'm happy to go into if you'd like to talk about them. But I'm sure you'd like to respond, so go ahead.
So your source for this is a quote from Boris Johnson?
No.
These two people in this debate have been focusing mainly on when they're talking about the economic structures, right? Their sole focus is on productivity, which is inherently, well, not inherently, but it's pretty fucking, like, it's pretty ingrained to capitalist logic, right? So, usually socialists / communists aren't supposed to, like, care that much about, like, fucking production to the extent that Vaush is aiming to right now. Like, for him being like, no, immigration is cool because it benefits the economy, right? That's not the reason why you're supposed to care about these things, right? It's a question of morality rather than, like, no, what is I guess productivity is.
So when we examine a specific sub-demographic of the lowest earners, yes, we do in fact find, remember the original claim you made? Does a 10% rise in immigration lead to a 2% reduction in wages? No, that was inaccurate. Yes. It's a 2%, near 2% fall in average pay for a specific subsector of certain jobs with certain types of immigrants. So you were actually hitting me up with the Boris Johnson argument. Hey, Adam, look who's interrupting me while I'm responding to his point, directly responding to the link that he provided me. So even in the link that you provided me, you horrendously mischaracterized this, indicating that the only thing that you have to provide to support your argument is the idea that for an incredibly small economic subsect of the population of the United Kingdom, they hit with a near 2% fall in average pay for a 10% increase in immigration. What an unbelievably minute statistic. Right. In fact, it even says right here, even here in the, what's that?
Now,
interrupting?
If you engage your brain.
Interrupting when I'm trying to make a
someone get them on.
Point that directly addresses the article you gave.
No one is upset here, okay?
So even here in this article, it says this is a relatively small effect. So this is, let's go over again, contrary to what you said, an incredibly small and specific reduction in wages to a small portion of the population. This has nothing to do with broader economic outcomes, broader increase in wages. Yeah, we can go over it some more. So here's an article. Whoa. So here's an article from the Heritage Foundation. Does current immigration economically benefit ordinary U.S. citizens? I wouldn't read it if I were
Why
you.
are
It
we
might
so
trigger you a
on
little
this
bit, okay?
page?
But I'm going to provide it to you
I'm
anyway.
not talking about ordinary U.S. citizens. Because
Oh, you're right.
Oh my god.
You're not talking about ordinary U.S. citizens. Well, that's the problem.
middle class.
Economic benefits to the general population
The
end up
class.
trickling down to the lower
The neo
class. This isn't a
Now
business
we're
owner.
trickle-down economics,
No,
are
because
we?
this isn't a business owner business worker relationship. This is a general
it still
economic
trickles
output.
down.
Vaush, are you going to
The
let him
general
respond?
principle.
Well, I can't
Gosh.
move on because he actually directly
I
provided me a
want to
link that was
respond to this. There's
dissonant to the
something
point he
here
was
that
trying
Vaush
to
has
make.
failed to understand.
You've made your point.
There's something here that
Whoa,
Vaush has failed to understand.
wait. Hold on really quickly, okay? So just to clarify, I'm going to provide you, if you want, I can keep giving you links because if I Google effect of immigration on economy, I will only get positives because this is one of the most well-researched, well-studied pieces of information
propagandized.
available. It's all propagandized by all these massive economic institutes that are all just trying to
The
trigger
Heritage Foundation,
the...
not right-wing propaganda now.
Yeah, and even the right-wingers can see that immigration is better for the economy.
Why would they? Why would they say that? Vaush?
Because in a political
Fuck the
sense, right-leaning
workers.
people have been the ones advocating against immigration, like Carlgon over here
No,
is,
they
for
haven't.
decades. It's
No, they
all
haven't.
propaganda.
That's totally
Conspiracy, Carl. All of these
hasn't
massively
advocated
well-studied
immigration?
research papers, they're all propaganda.
Vaush, Can I
From
explain
different
why you're
sides of the political aisle, from different organizations,
going
they're
to
all
live in denial?
conspiring to get him.
Vaush, let's.
We can move to another topic. I feel like I've adequately demonstrated my point on this one.
I really
Let him
want to nail this
respond.
point home, Vaush.
Yeah.
Feel
you're
free.
not thinking about it.
I'm not thinking enough about it. Help me.
You're not
Elucidate.
thinking at all about it.
Elucidate for me.
Oh,
I would love to. You are engaging your mouth before engaging your brain.
Can you talk under pressure? Because you never respond to points when I'm responding to yours.
Can you
God.
not
Can
talk
you shut
under
the
pressure?
fuck
I don't know. Can I not? I wouldn't know.
Well,
I
you
keep getting
can't-
interrupted.
You keep interrupting here. Like, I agree. Sargon has interrupted you. The only reason why I'm not forcing it with Sargon is because you're interrupting 90% of the time, Vaush. You
Okay,
are.
so he's interrupting.
Like, he
and
can't
you make
even
him
get
stop,
a
but you
minute
don't make
worth of
Sargon stop.
A
conversation.
minute worth of
Let
posturing. Yes, I agree.
Let
I do
him
interrupt him in
respond.
that quite a
Just
bit.
let him respond. We do want to hear from you, Vaush. Let him respond.
Right. Vaush, the reason that it was in a specific, particular sections of the economy is because of the kind of immigrants that we'd had over. If we'd had an immigrant body that had come into the country that was generally reflective of all of the levels of society, then that percentage would probably have been lower and would have been spread across all of society. But instead, we got very Polish and Romanian and Lithuanian workers who are prepared to work in manual labor for lower prices than British people. This is why it's in certain sectors, because they are the bulk of the workers that have come over. There is no question that when you increase the supply of labor, the value of that labor goes down. That's an incontrovertible truth. You can't get around that. And so I'm quite amazed that you think it's okay for us to victimize the earning potential of the lowest strata of our society for the majority, which is the middle class. That seems wildly exploitative to me, and I'm not surprised.
I didn't say
at all.
middle
They are
class.
voting.
So annoying. I've
You don't get
addressed
choice
both
though.
sides of this
Most of your
already.
society is middle class.
By the definition of that particular poll, sure. If we're talking about the middle class
Yes,
there, then
thank
yes, the
you.
middle
Yes,
class
they
and
are
the
middle
lower
class,
class
yes.
too. And I can, by the way,
The
really
lower
quickly.
class are the ones who are doing these.
Wait, really
judging
quickly.
calls.
I think there's a funny
Let Sargon
hypocrisy.
finish.
Really
Let
quick.
Sargon
Oh,
finish.
is he finished?
Make sure.
No, I'm not
Sargon's
finished.
Oh, feel free.
Right?
I know I caught you one quarter of the way through. My apologies.
Can I
Yes, you
move on
did.
to a different topic?
This is
No, I've
the
already
problem though,
addressed
and
both sides
you
of
don't
this.
see
This is
any
annoying.
problem with a Marxist saying no. It's okay for those people to have falling wages
Point your finger
in
at the
order to
capitalists, buddy.
realize the
What's reason
utopia.
their wages are
essentially.
falling?
I think that's terrible. I think that's
Maybe
absolutely
we
awful.
should
I think it's
remove all wages
morally
and currency.
deficient that anyone would
Sounds like wages can fall
offset,
down.
like export the falling wages and costs of their dream to the poorest and most vulnerable in society. For the benefit of the middle class, in the hope that money trickles down to them eventually. I just don't see why we would bring in the people. Why have immigration?
So, several points here. Okay, quick one. For one, I think it's really funny to me that earlier you were posturing about Marx being wrong because totally, in a total sense, the general economic process...
It seems as though these entire positions have flipped because Vaush is fucking using neoliberal talking points right now, and then fucking Sargon is trying to use Marxist talking points, except for he's failing to do so because he's pointing the finger at immigrants instead of the fucking capitalists, the private owners, the bosses, how
the general economic prosperity of the country has gone up. The reason why it's gone up is because of precisely those same immigration policies, those same neoliberal trade policies that have then subsequently led to an increase in the general standard of living for the people in this country. The same policies that you are currently opposing. For two, I think it's funny that you would pretend to care, I apologize, about the well-being of the working class when, and again, just to clear it out, I'm not a nationalist. I don't give a fuck whether or not a person in the working class is British or Lithuanian or Polish. They're human beings, and I believe they should be treated with at least a modicum of respect more than what you're offering here. So, no, I know it's funny to you, the idea of caring about people. But that's because for you it's a facade, but for I actually care about this shit. So, for three...
reduce their wages.
What I mean? What do you mean?
For three, I would like to remind everyone that when his initial claim was a 2% reduction in overall wages, the actual claim is that for an incredibly specific subset of the a particular specific low wage.
I wish this.
I have to.
I'm taking lessons from you, Vaush.
So to clarify, I have a plurality of evidence indicating that the economy benefits in general from immigration. You have a single link indicating, well, as your own argument demonstrates earlier, my good friend, an increase in the GDP over the past century and a half has led to a general increase in the prosperity of everyone in this country. That's what you were saying when you were saying Marx was wrong, that every proletariat's general level of wealth would fall. By your own definition as used earlier, you must concede that a general increase in the economic prosperity of this country helps the poor as well. You made that argument earlier. You can't not make it now. Additionally, I would like to point out the fact that the tiny subset of the population, which would be hit with even in the article, it is said to be a minute change in their overall wages following a substantial change in the total number of immigrants coming in, when juxtaposed against the plurality of evidence indicating that immigration overall helps the economy, including the poor, in addition to the fact that when talking about the already, admittedly, incredibly small, incredibly tiny, incredibly minute impact on a very small portion of the population, Carl's solution isn't to engage in wealth reappropriation or any kind of socialist policy or anything that might actually help these people, or of anything unionization, anything that's been actually shown to help these people historically, anything that's actually advocated for workers' rights over the past few centuries. His advocacy is to engage in a reduction in immigration. So when he sees a problem, a tiny little problem that actually ends up benefiting the entire country, his solution is not actually to help those people with humane policies that effectively redistribute wealth. His approach is to keep people from coming in, because to him, humanity and charity to the poor is infinitely less important than anything that allows him to fake caring about those people to posture about immigration. And he laughs over here, Sargon over here.
Whoa, slow. I'm not saying Vaush's argument on immigration is not true. I'm saying, why the fuck does it matter? We shouldn't be just letting people into this country just on the basis because we think that it's more productive or better for us, right? If people want to come here, there shouldn't be any reason why they shouldn't be able to. Again, we're leftists, we should be against hierarchies, and more for like individual autonomy, right? Also, Vaush needs to do a better job of pointing out that no, Sargon isn't even doing a Marxist interpretation on this, because again, he's pointing a finger at the immigrants and not the people who are actually lowering the wages. I know I'm getting really repetitive in saying that, but they've been on this topic for a long time, and it's getting me bored, and I feel like I have to say something.
With the subject, so he
wants to respond.
You unironically pretend to be a champion of these working people while saying it's okay for them to have a falling wage. I think that's staggering. I don't think it's okay for anyone to have a falling wage, let alone the poorest people in society, the people at the bottom. I think that's terrible. I think it's awful that you don't consider there to be anything more than economics to be the problem with immigration. There absolutely is. But even then, like, why would they think that you are in favor of them when you're actually advocating against them, against their direct interests?
There's no reason that the wages
I
should
find
be
this
falling.
amazing. And it doesn't contradict what I've been saying about like technology and the distribution of wealth under capitalism. I'm actually advocating for a more equitable distribution of wealth under capitalism, because what I'm arguing for is actually a seller's market for laborers, whereas you're advocating for a buyer's market for laborers. There's a reason that Bernie Sanders called open borders a Koch brothers idea, because it bloody well is. It's just this wild ideological idea of the idea that the nation state and borders should cease to exist that communists have, that mean that they can sit there and advocate for the lower wages of workers in their own country at the benefit of the actual billionaire class who also want that.
I mean,
I mean, doesn't it bother you? You are on side with an actual policy that actually affects the wages of workers alongside places like Goldman Sachs. They agree with you. They agree. Open those borders. Get that slave labor in. They're going to make loads of money, and eventually it'll trickle down. Absurd. It's an absurd contradiction, and it definitely shows that you do not care about the working man.
Oh no, there's nothing to it. If he doesn't care about data, there's no point. I might as well be arguing with a homeless man off the street. I will make this point though: the only time I ever hear the argument, is
that not a valid person to argue with, Vaush?
I mean, if they're crazy, probably not. No. The only time I ever hear that argument, you believe in open borders, just like the Koch brothers. The only time I ever actually hear that is from Nosbols, from Strasserites.
Maybe they've got a point.
Well, I imagine you would think that, my friend.
Why do you agree with Goldman Sachs on the case of immigration?
I agree with Goldman Sachs that the sky is blue as well. Wait, are you really going to go for this bad faith posturing right now?
Why do you
agree with Nazis on immigration, Sargon? Nazis are really keen on your immigration policies. Nazis don't want immigration, my friend.
We agreed no N-word.
No N-word? I don't know. I mean, it's weird he's making Nazi arguments to me. If he's unironically going to make the Goldman Sachs argument to me, then why is it that people of unironically, like Nazis, openly advocate for these exact policies? Why is it that conservative political parties always get the Nazi vote?
Into a buyer's market?
See, this is the thing. The discussion, at least on this point in particular, is, as far as I'm concerned, over. He's not willing to engage with any of the data on the subject. I will say this, though. It is amusing to me.
You should have sent me it in advance if you'd wanted me to engage with some data before the debate.
You have been doing online advocacy. Sargon, we know perfectly well that even if I had linked it to you, you wouldn't have read it anyway.
Oh, do we know?
Okay. I will say this, though. Just really quickly, it's very funny to me that you make the "why are you agreeing with Koch and Sachs, Goldman Sachs" argument to me when Richard Spencer and Nick Fuentes, both avowed neo-Nazis, have both said that while they disagree with you on a variety of things, you are good entry points to the alt-right. So when it comes to associations with others who share our ideological predilections, it's very strange to me that you would decide to go down that line. Just tread carefully with that.
I don't care who you associate me with, though.
Okay, then I don't care who you associate with me.
Yeah, but I would have thought that you would care.
Wait. So you're saying it's less likely for me to agree with a business person as to what is economically best for America than it is for you to agree with a Nazi? Are you admitting that you have some predilections here?
I just think it's bizarre that you agree that they should be in a buyer's market.
Not only do I not know what you mean by that, I'm very sure you don't know what you mean by that either.
I've explained it already, and anyone listening knows.
Yes, I know. Increasing the laborers pool means you're fucking over domestic workers. I know. I've heard all of the propaganda, my dude, even though all the data contradicts it.
It drives wages down. If it
actually doesn't. There has been study after study.
I linked you, showed you that.
You linked me a single piece that shows a 2% reduction in wages for a small and already impoverished portion of the population.
That's the problem, Vaush.
Damn, I found I saw on the news today that there was a stabbing. A white man stabbed a black woman. We have to deal with this problem. White violence in inner cities. We have to deal with white knife attacks. I'm sorry, I don't accept when it comes to extrapolating data from existing evidence, you have one tiny data point. I have plurality of evidence on the subject.
Their wages going down is the problem, Vaush.
I have a question. Do you love black people?
No.
Jesse Lee. Whoa.
Why not? Are you in a fallen state?
I don't love white people either, if that's what you're wondering.
Yeah. Answer the question. Why don't you like black people?
I didn't say I dislike black people.
You asked him if he loved him.
No, I asked him if he hated him, and he said yes.
He's doing a Jesse Lee Peterson impression.
No, you asked.
That's actually not what you asked, Vaush.
I never said that.
If it helps, I don't love or hate
Vaush is
arbitrary
just
groups of
now.
people. I don't.
Yes.
I'm
Except
concerned
immigrants.
with-
You have pretty strong opinions on that.
I have strong opinions about what we should do to the labor market.
Right, not
I don't know
improve
if
it.
This is a good look for
That doesn't improve it.
You wanted to
not
you want
improve it for the
to
country.
pretend to care about the lowest echelons of society to allow it to stagnate if it means you get to let less brown people in.
I think that everything you say is projection. To be honest,
Really?
I mean, you're literally here going, "Fuck this 2% lower class. Who cares? It's barely anything." It's like, dude, to those people, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and then it's a
2%
good thing they
down.
benefit from the economy as a whole going up. Then yeah, good thing I actually care about them.
Oh my
They
God.
personally have less
the
money to
neo-lib
spend.
talking points used.
That's not-
Well, yes, and commodity prices go down to compensate for that. The overall economy gets better.
Depends.
Wait, I'm sorry. Does an increase in GDP improve the economy or not?
I don't know. I don't really care about the GDP.
Wait, you don't care about the economy?
I don't care about the GDP. Do I
The
have to repeat myself
GDP
every time?
is a pretty strong indicator of economic success. So do you care about the economy or not?
Not really. That's the problem. That's exactly the problem, right? The GDP tells you nothing about the distribution of wages.
No, it
and
doesn't,
wealth
but it
within
tells you about
country.
the economy.
Yeah, but it doesn't tell you about the
Vaush, you're
distribution.
interrupting
I'm not talking
Tells
about
you
general
the
distribution. I'm talking about the economy. Do you care about the economy?
Make your
I care
argument.
about the distribution of wealth.
Okay, so you don't care about the economy.
No, I care about the distribution of the wealth. I
Okay.
care about where it is. And you're sat there going, look, the people at the bottom, we can make their labor value less.
No, we can
because it'll make
improve
the
them.
people
No,
above.
let him respond, Vaush.
Vaush, you literally just said it doesn't matter if they suffer a 2%
Because they benefit,
reduction
yes.
Vaush.
I don't
Vaush.
think they agree, and I don't agree, right? And I don't know the data you're talking about because you haven't sent it to me, and if you have, I haven't had time to look at it, which you must be able to accept.
I sent
So
it to
I
you.
guess, I guess you can just keep asserting it, but you're not proving it. And I suppose that if that's the case, then we can move on to, I don't know. Let's say, what are the cultural problems of immigration? I think that'd be an interesting one.
Sure. Now we're going to talk about America or
We're over
Brit
2 hours now, so you guys,
We can do either
here,
one.
We're
Which
here
one would
all
you like
day.
to-
We can go as long as you guys want.
Well, I will
Go-
say
go
this.
ahead.
Just to cap it off. I mean, I think allegorically this reminds me like imagine if somebody was like drinking water too quickly and they like drowned in the water, like they choked on it or went in their lungs or something. And Sargon over here goes in a big soliloquy publicly about how we need to restrict water to the population. And when I point out that water is generally better for the population and could in fact be made better for everyone with proper precautions, he keeps pointing at the one person who choked to death on the water. It's
Does
pretty
that one
extraordinary to
person
me.
not matter?
But it's
Does that one person
just
not matter?
classically though, this is always how liars have interpreted data. When
liars,
usually,
right.
Carl,
Vaush.
Carl,
Let-
Don.
let's
Vaush, there's a guy
cool
drowning
with the
there,
liar
man. I
stuff.
think we should
wait,
do
are you
that.
telling me to stop when he interrupted me?
Well, I'm just saying
Drowning man,
we're
Vaush.
traveling the same ground over.
Well,
and
then
over
I can
again.
finish it, and this will be literally the last thing I have to say on it, which is this simply. This is always how liars have engaged with data. Typically, for massive things like
You
the
already
economy,
said this,
the way
but-
you make decisions is by assessing the plurality of data made on it. You usually do meta-analyses, dozens of data, tons of studies from many different actors, trying to come together and form a consensus, because these things are very complicated and need it takes a lot to go into them. And what people can do is they can focus on one particular piece of data that doesn't represent the whole and may even be disproved in other elements of the meta-analyses. And by focusing on that, they can derive any agenda they want from it. They can derive anything.
Okay. Well, I definitely have a reducing immigration agenda.
Well, Vaush, can I ask you one question before? It sounds like you might be ready to go. I mean, we can go as long as you want, but I'm curious about something.
Yeah, hit me up.
The
Well,
mods jumping
your
in.
opening argument seemed to be that the spoils of the economy disproportionately went to the wealthy, but at the same time, you're making the argument that a better economy is good for everyone. So that argument seems contradictory.
It's not. A better economy is better for everyone. It's disproportionately better for the wealthy. If I wanted to address the needs of the lower class, the way in which I would choose to do it are through policies that actually make the world better, taking wealth away from those who don't need it and distributing it to those who
Stealing
do.
Theft.
Sure, same way we stole
I'm
from the
just stealing-
landowners when we had our revolution and had democracies. Yes, I don't think there's
Yeah,
anything
but
intrinsically wrong with
stealing and
forming a
theft,
more
by the
ethical
way.
distribution of wealth. You're the one who just claimed you care about the
I don't
distribution.
think it's stealing and theft to take what's yours back rightfully. Right. So I mean, if let's say I make a bottle, and then some motherfucker takes my bottle. If I take that bottle back, I mean that's not really stealing, but I mean I guess Sargon of the Cod can say that.
Country. Notice, by the way, that Carl literally just said he doesn't care about the economy. He cares about economic distribution, and now he's saying it's theft.
Let me relate that more. And so, right, this is like related to like what actually happens, right? Because if I make a fucking bottle, and that bottle is sold, and then the boss takes a percentage of what that bottle made, most of the percentage, right, and then gave me a small percentage, right? It's not really stealing for me to take the rest of that percentage. But I mean, sure.
Say you
Carl
did.
Say so.
You said if you said.
Let him finish, Vaush.
No,
Go ahead.
if you
Sargon.
were to put, say, 100% tax on, say, inheritance, then yeah, I think that's fair to characterize that as theft because that's already money that's had taxes paid on it. So yeah, I would say that's a fair way of characterizing that as a form of theft. But what's your plan? Is your plan
it's
just
theft
to take
to
their
tax
money?
money that has been taxed?
At 100%.
Yes.
Mischaracterizing his position.
I'm not mischaracterizing his
Honestly,
position.
maybe if it's
100%
any
tax
percentage.
remains a tax. Why are we talking about inheritance tax or 100% taxes? I never mentioned any of
Because I'm using it as an example. Can you try and
that's his
keep
argument.
up?
Example of what? An argument I don't
Example of
make?
how taxation could be theft. What is wrong with you? Do you forget
Okay,
your
so
own sentences?
so anytime tax
If taxation is theft, then that means that using the roads and all other public sources services without paying for them is also theft.
taxes are implemented, it's theft? Can you answer that yes, no?
Oh,
Wait, can you answer that yes, no?
Vaush, Steelman is argument for us, Vaush.
He didn't
He's
make
making an argument.
He actually didn't. He was responding to an argument that I made.
Oh god,
So-
I feel like I'm
So
being
wait.
made.
So Sargon says no. There are ways to tax without it being theft. So there's my answer. It would not be
Some
theft for
forms of
us to have
taxation
tax
could
system.
be theft.
Sure, and some forms of handshake can be assault if you grip hard enough and then break the bone. But I'm obviously
Sure.
not referring to that. I'm referring to types of taxation that are fair and equitable.
Okay, so what is that?
I didn't want in specific tax policies. I don't have a.
70%.
He's
Why is
defining them
85%
as being
on
fair and
that?
equitable without explaining them.
Wait. So
Very
wait. Hold on.
convenient.
So wait. You agree that you can have taxes without it being theft, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So there's my answer. Without getting into specifics, because I will be
Whatever
forward about
those
this.
things are, that's what I want.
Yeah, the
You want
specifics is
to
what we need.
argue the specific tax tier rates that I think would be best implemented across the board?
Sure.
Not especially, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So
so
no,
we're moving on then.
I think that right now we could probably find a way as a country to readjust our tax rates so that people at the bottom get more. You claim to care about wealth distribution, Carl. I care about a lot as well. And that would be a much better way of addressing the issues with immigration than restricting immigration itself. Because the economic benefits to immigration are massive, the downsides are comparatively small, and those small downsides can be compensated for by policies that would help people in other ways too.
I don't think declining wages is comparatively small. I think that's fucking catastrophic.
2% for a tiny proportion of the population that's compensated for economically in other departments. All right, next.
It's not a tiny.
Were we going to talk about
percent
culture?
Population.
Well, he did
Sure,
make an
okay,
argument.
yeah,
He did
sure,
make an
okay,
argument. Yeah, go
Is
ahead.
there any in your mind? Is there any concern about mass immigration from a cultural perspective?
Yeah, I like. There are certain elements to my culture that I like very much here in America, at least.
Really,
Well, I'm
what do you know?
sorry.
I don't know. I like democracy
People coming into the country isn't gonna stop that.
and freedom. Obviously, that's an America-specific thing. You don't seem to care about it very much. I'm a pretty huge fan of, for example, the concept of workers' rights. I really like, which that's a Western tradition. There's no denying that. Yeah. Marx was Western after all.
Okay.
I like American
so is
culture. You know what? I like
capitalism.
burgers. I'm a big fan of burgers too.
look
You know
like
who
a
I
big fan
don't
of
like?
burgers.
I will admit this. I've had a huge problem with an influx of. There's a particular culture that I'm not very fond of that I think has really been fucking up America lately.
Really? Is it Nazis?
It's my no. Because you can be a Nazi from any culture. That's just a political
I
predilection.
don't agree. I think that you've got to be a German.
Oh, I disagree, but okay.
Nazism is the weaponization of German identity.
Okay, I cannot get into the definition of Nazism with you.
That's because
we said exactly no N-words, guys. Come on.
So
you're making a point.
Fine.
The particular cultural issue that I have is Alabamians. I have some family in Alabama.
Oh my god!
The small town, the rural, like conservative shit, that shit just fucking drives me up the wall. So there are some types of cultures that I have a huge problem with. I can't stand Alabama. I think I want to build a wall. I want to build a wall around those swamps.
What about clit chopping ones? What about those ones? Do you have a problem with those?
Clit choppy ones?
Yeah, like 95% of Somalian girls have a clitorectomy.
Is that true?
Do you have a problem?
That sounds horrible. Somali?
Well, yes. I'm going to go out for a quick cigarette. So while you're Googling that...
are you rolling a fatty over there, Sargon?
No, it's a cigarette. It's just tobacco.
Why did he bring that up? Also, I would assume most of the people coming from Somalia are probably trying to avoid that. So, yeah. I would assume, I'm not sure though. Also Somalia is like the closest thing to like a form of anarcho-capitalism, so that reflects on anyone. It's gonna reflect poorly on you, Sargon, but okay.
It's not,
California, it's legal.
Yeah, wow.
But limit on the number that you have.
I mean, 3 million Muslims in here is quite a lot. How many Somalian girls do we need in here?
That's 1% of your population.
That's true, but if you like cluster those people, that's a pretty big number of people. How many Somalis do we need before it becomes a massive
country? You've got a massive country. Like you can go to like I went to Birmingham the other day, man, and
yeah, we've talked
genuinely. I mean, there was a Pakistani actress who came over and said, "Oh, Birmingham's just like being in Pakistan." And man, Pakistan has got some backwards traditions. And I mean, like, these communities are not exactly overflowing with eagerness to report the malfeasance of the home community being replicated over here to the authorities. So we don't even know how bad these things are.
Well, it looks like the population of Somalia is 15 million. So it seems like unless a huge percentage of their population wants to come on over, I feel like we can let a few Somalis in. I'm okay with that.
Go smoke your cigarette, Sargon. We'll work on the audio issues. Are you gonna bounce, Vaush, or are you gonna?
I'm here. I'm a professional big boy streamer. I'm here for all sorts.
Well, if you
of
want to read some of your super chats, I know you're streaming on that end. We can read some of our super chats over here, and your mic is just like still.
I have it as far away from me as I can.
Put a pillow on it, man. Where's your go to?
I can put a condom on.
An oven mitt. And put the oven mitt on the microphone.
I'm here for the culture shit when he comes back. I'm here for that.
Sitch, are you still around?
Yeah, what's up? I'm glad that you're here, Adam. Cause
okay. Sorry, y'all. Real quick. It's not a big deal either way because Sargon's gone, so they're not debating. So I'm gonna pause the stream anyways for a little bit. And yeah. Vaush should talk about how different cultures interstate. What do you mean by that? Oh, integrate. Okay, yeah, he could. How you feeling about this debate so far, buddy? Exhausted. It's gone all over the place, and I don't know how much like that. I'm gonna hop in the Discord for a little bit. Hop in the Discord. Holy shit. delete that. All right.
Want to play?
Oh, hi everyone.
Hi.
Fancy seeing you here.
Yes,
Just left us here in this special upper private.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to leave
sanctum of
you.
yours.
Oh my! I didn't
This
mean
is
to
plot
leave.
things
I didn't mean to
that
leave
anyone
y'all
knows.
out of the blue. My internet cut out first, and then I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just not gonna open up the Discord tab again, and I'll join after the stream. Also, it was kind of loud, so.
That's kind of loud. We are.
The whatever it's called, the Discord.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can turn off notifications.
I don't.
Should we
I
all
keep
just-
notifications on for the Discord.
Are you gonna stream more?
Yeah, I'm still streaming right now.
People are gonna wonder like, why are there all these different breaks here? It's
Oh
because
man, they're about to go into part 2 of this debate. It's gonna be.
Can you let me know when they start up again?
Sure.
It's not over. It's not almost over yet.
No, they're just going to the second segment.
God. No. God.
It's been pretty painful.
Yes. Why? Well, it's just terrible.
Yeah, we're having a gay old time here.
Oh, Myth is gonna.
Yo, shout out to the 8 people in the stream though. So what do y'all think about the debate so far?
It's just been fucking.
Vaush is performing terribly.
Yeah, he is not doing well for himself here. Oh, it looks like he's back on. Wait, no, never mind. No.
Okay, I would agree that Vaush is performing pretty terribly. I wouldn't say terribly, pretty bad. There's been some good standout moments. But here's the thing, if there's people with an actual brain, I hate to use rhetoric like that, but if there's people who are actually like aware, then they'll see that Vaush is the only one offering any sort of solution, it seems, except for on the immigration part. But Sargon did offer something, it just wasn't good.
Yeah, I agree, except most people don't have brains. So.
Yeah, you're expecting a lot out of the Sargon fans.
Yes, I know. Well, this isn't only Sargon fans, it's also Adam Unfriended fans. Whoever, I don't know their political leaning, probably right-wing centrist.
Yeah, I think they're back on debating.
Okay. Also, one more thing that I'm going to point out. Vaush's advocacy for immigration is the most, in this debate at least, is the most neoliberal shit ever. And I addressed it on stream already. There's much better ways in which you could advocate for it.
Well, in the Democratic debate, he did like kind of shill hard for the trade stuff.
What was he gonna say? You know, if you keep on saying stuff like that, he might actually invite you onto a debate.
Ooh, Vaush?
Would be artificial.
Yeah, probably.
That would be great.
Because I mean,
had me on to debate.
Yeah, what was I gonna say? Because I mean, he would probably get super petty about it, and like, because he called him a lib. Mostly because he'll probably shout something like, "That's my job to call other leftist liberals."
Alright, I'm gonna head out because they're back, but I'll be back at the end.
Okay.
It's not a natural culture that's evolved in Los Angeles.
Well, that's
it would be millions of Eastern Europeans coming to Los Angeles.
As a wise Britbonger once told me, this term is subjective and therefore useless. So I don't distinguish between.
You said that actually.
No, you're the one who said that if a term. You were the one who said that if a term is subjective, it's useless. It means nothing. I'm the one who said that.
I never said that.
Wouldn't the
well,
term
we can go over the VOD
a better
later.
descriptor than force? Just use the term rapid.
Rapid, sure. Yeah. Hey, Chad, did he say that? You can tell me, okay?
No, I'm saying why don't you just use that instead if there's a contention about the word forced?
Yeah, okay.
Well, I don't think I said forced. I said artificial.
I don't think there's such a thing. But if we want to go with what you mean to be artificial, which was it like artificial when feminists started writing games articles? I don't know what you mean by it. I just feel like things change, and sometimes people like you get. Maybe some people like you just get left behind, and then you think the world is changing artificially, when in reality things are just moving on.
Maybe I can just define it for you.
Feel free.
Because I'll use the example of my country because I'm most familiar with that. But Britain had much lower levels of immigration up until 1997 when the Labour government took over, and then it something like quadrupled. Right, it went up to about 300,000 net a year on average, and we've had that for 20 years, and that's not normal. That's not natural. Most of British history.
None of it is normal. These are all super loaded subjective terms. None of this is normal or natural. It's all just policies.
What is common to have come and occurred before.
It's not precedented, but that doesn't have anything to do with whether or not something is normal.
What's going on?
No, what's normal is just what has commonly occurred before.
Okay, sure. So is it normal right now for gay people to get married in the States?
No.
It's legal.
Yeah, good.
Okay, what time scale?
In a historical perspective, it's not normal, right?
Okay.
And we are now at a point where we've had 20 years of mass immigration. We can see the actual changes. Like there are areas of English culture that actually no longer exist anymore. Like the East End in London used to have a particular kind of culture, and that just doesn't exist anymore.
I can't refer to the specifics you're talking about. I don't acknowledge this normal, natural. These are super loaded, feelsy words, very emotional.
Sure.
If you want to talk about the cultural impact of immigration, I agree with you that it can have a pretty.
This is something that's going to have to be a bit feelsy loaded if we're going to talk about culture.
Sure, then let's use very empirical language. Okay? So
no, you can't, because you're talking about people and how they feel.
Okay, you can use empirical language to determine whether or not a person feels a certain way.
Look, I'm not going to be language police by you. If you don't understand the terms I'm using, I will define.
It's not that I understand; it's that they're useless. Normal. Let's just go with this, okay? I agree that immigration varies tremendously in eras and countries, and that often significant changes in immigration can lead to a.
To clarify, just saying something is normal isn't a justification for it.
Very rapid change in the culture of certain areas. I've never been to England. My understanding of your cultural changes are limited pretty much exclusively to what I've seen from media. I'm more familiar with what's taking place here in America. I would say this simply. There are elements of my culture that I like. I don't believe all cultures are the same. I don't. I genuinely don't. One day, I hope that the cultural elements that I like, freedom, democracy, will be present all around the world, so I don't have to have such harsh opinions on
Vaush, why are we arguing so much about definitions? We want to have an argument here about ideas.
Well, I'm trying to clarify my position relative to you. So,
okay, but let's hang on. Let's take.
I haven't agreed with you, nor have I finished with my point.
No, let him finish.
Yeah. So there are problems with immigration. And I like certain elements of certain cultures. However, are you
on
really
this note of culture? I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of tied on culture. Like for me, I don't think culture is necessarily just like it's not really a race thing. It's more so like a geopolitical thing, in my opinion. There can be some like obviously racial ties to culture, but I see it more as geopolitical. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's how I see it. So.
Going to impugn me for repetition here. Come now. I will say this. Things need to be handled.
You seem to be repeating yourself.
And I don't know how fucking relevant that is to this anyways. I just wanted to fucking butt in because I feel like I've been talking a while, and I don't know if I'm going to be talking in a while because like this topic,
Things need to be handled meaningfully. We should be considerate both of the benefits.
I didn't ask you a question about immigration, though, Vaush. I asked you a question about why we're arguing about definitions.
That wasn't what I was responding to. I was responding to an earlier claim. I I making a point of my own.
Vaush.
What are we even talking about? I'm explaining my position on the cultural impact of immigration.
Okay.
Sargon is making an argument.
No, he wasn't. Pay attention. He stopped. I then opened to give my perspective.
And stopped him about definition.
No, he stopped speaking, and then I spoke up and said, "Here is my perspective on immigration."
No, the conversation was Sargon was talking about normal levels of immigration or normal culture, and then you said we can't use loaded words, and that's what kind of got off in this whole conversation. That's why you rephrased it the way that you did, which sounded exactly like what Sargon said, only using different words. Which is why I said it sounds like you're agreeing with him.
So. My point is that sometimes there are issues with immigration. I do not think I agree with Sargon in the specifics of how we should apply immigration policy.
Sure, but you agree that immigration, an influx of people, can change the culture.
Nobody would ever disagree with that. I have never met a person in my life.
But that's just what Sargon was trying to say, and it kind of fell apart from there, I thought.
Because you started arguing definitions.
Yes, wouldn't it be nice if we could use words that mean something?
Yeah,
all words mean something, Vaush. But you are like being deliberately combative here.
Is there a particular position you'd like to take? Because I just took a stance.
I don't think that we are in disagreement here.
No, fucking
That, yes,
Sargon does
a large
not take
amount of
fucking
immigration
particular
into a certain
positions in
area
this debate
will change the
specifically
character of that area.
because
Okay, I'm fine
he's
with the
playing
character
all
of areas
offense,
changing.
bro. It's hard to lose when
Okay,
you're only
some
on
ways.
offense.
Well, okay, so you're not just fine with it. You have provisos on your.
Of
being fine
course,
with it.
if some people came in and their culture was they wanted to rape people, then obviously I'm not in favor of those specific elements.
Right. These no, I wasn't saying right to what Vaush said. I don't even know what point he was making, but right to the comments where they said the mods don't even understand the conversation. It wasn't about definitions, right? When Vaush was talking about fucking loaded words like normal, whatever, sure, maybe he was talking about it in like a definition way, but more so, saying something is normal isn't a justification for it. Again, saying that this is the natural culture, the normal culture, whatever, that doesn't justify it.
Elements, but that
Okay,
doesn't
so
necessarily.
you're against Pakistani
And that also doesn't tell me why taking it away or changing it is a bad thing.
But that doesn't necessarily mean I don't want to let them in, and it doesn't necessarily mean that all
Why?
people from that demographic shouldn't be let in.
Why? Why would you let those people in if you didn't agree with the things?
If we want to keep people from engaging in violent crime or rape or whatever, here in the States, we would keep young men from coming in. That would be the most effective way to keep that from happening. Are you in favor of doing that?
Then young men are not just all the same, are they?
No, but they're substantially more likely to commit violent crimes than any other group of
Sure.
people, regardless of
But-
race, ethnicity,
but then if
culture,
we-
religion.
But then if we become more granular than that, then we can actually identify some cultures that have different value sets.
Not
to
even
others.
close. There is no cultural divide that comes even close to the extent to which young men are responsible for violent crime. Why don't we let only
There is,
the old
actually.
women in? We can let old women and old men in.
You could, but we're not going to because we've got a national health service. So definitely not.
What
That's
about little
absolutely-
kids? We can let all the 10-year-olds in. They're not going to commit crimes. I mean, if they do, they'll be like
I
adorable
think if
little
they don't
crimes.
have their parents, they might well do.
No, the parents
But
will be
why-
very old,
but-
okay? And the
but
children will
why-
grow into productive
But why
workers.
should we let any of them in? Why should we let any of them in?
So you just don't care about immigration at all?
No, I do care about it. That's why I want to stop it.
Okay, so you don't want any
Wants to
immigration.
Stop all immigration? I'm
No,
confused.
I wouldn't say zero, but like, yeah, comparatively.
Oh, okay. Because it helps our economy and because I care about
Oh
other
my
people.
God,
Immigrants
fucking
usually want to
Donald
come to our
social
country for a
and
reason.
cultural consequences. for
There
this
are
immigration.
consequences and benefits. So, A, benefit to the
Yeah,
economy.
but hang on,
Wait, you asked me.
You've just been talking, right? Yeah, I just want a
What?
clarification on that one point, right? So you are fine with mass immigration as long as it benefits the economy,
No.
regardless of the damage it does to the culture.
No, I didn't say that. Because I literally just said we should take into
First of all, people coming in to the country don't change the culture typically. Usually, like, I mean, maybe if they're like in large concentrations of certain areas, but I mean, not often, especially nowadays. That's not going to happen. That's kind of like already happened. Usually they adopt to the culture, the predominant cultures, not change them. So yeah, also secondly, on your point about the economy shit, no, people should just be let in because we shouldn't restrict people's movement. Just because I put a flag on this land and put up like fucking borders and have imaginary lines on the map doesn't mean much. Like, cool, that's kind of like all made up, right? I don't know. I don't think that justifies people not being able to move to wherever they want, whenever they want. I don't know. That's my tangent.
consideration whatever happens to the culture, and that not all cultural changes are desirable. So, A, immigration will, in essentially every case, lead to an increase in economic productivity for
Who gives a fuck?
the country, which can be redistributed as seen fit.
If it doesn't increase in, or if it does fucking lower wages like Sargon's been saying, again, blame that on the capitalist and the bosses and the people who are actually responsible for raising and lowering the wages, not the other low-wage worker.
Amongst its constituents. 2, many cultural changes are either neutral or good. I like cultural diversity. I think it's really cool that in the country I grew up in, the city that I grew up in, it was a plurality of cultures that worked together to form a beautiful quilt, mesh fabric of different people, of different languages.
That's probably true heart-shaped kisses. I would imagine he tries to stay away from them.
Of different foods, of different cultures. It was really beautiful to me. And I don't mean that from some lidcucky, like lefty, Joseph Trudeau, fucking, our diversity is our strength. I mean, I legitimately mean it before I was even a leftist. It was nice. And third, and finally, I care about the humanity and livelihood of the people who come into this country. They're as human as we are. If we can help them by letting them in, and it's generally beneficial to let them in, I say we do so.
But some of them are German.
And I took German language classes back in college.
That explains a lot.
What does it explain?
The thing that you're not engaging with.
What does it explain?
I don't think
he's just joking around, Vaush.
What's the joke? Okay, sorry.
The joke is that Germans are basically Nazis.
Oh.
The problem though is that you are not acknowledging the actual reality of the consequence of these changed circumstances. Now,
I figured he was going for a Nazi joke, but I didn't get like the correlation between. I don't know.
Birmingham, because it is such a glaring one. It is actually becoming an Islamic colony, and I think that means that this is actually.
Let's skip ahead back to the live portion.
Actually something we can control.
Do you advocate for feminism then to deal with their patriarchal totalitarian social enclaves?
No.
Oh, wait, that's interesting. Wait, you have a problem with them being patriarchal, but you also don't want to advocate for the solution to that problem?
No, I have a problem with them duplicating Pakistani culture and not adopting English culture.
Well, isn't feminist values part of English culture? Compared to them, women's suffrage, not obeying the father.
But there are other people other than feminists who are concerned about these things.
No, feminism has pretty much been exclusively responsible. Listen, I know how you got your start. You realize that all of society today is predicated on second wave feminist theory. Like everything we do concerning women's suffrage and our belief in women working.
Disagree, but I'm not interested in debating this point.
I know you're not.
I'm interested in knowing whether you think that this mass immigration is favorable or unfavorable.
You keep giving me qualifiers that don't mean anything to me. So you're saying so like one school has 70% of
all schools
in Birmingham? Okay, I mean that's one city. It seems like they're being hit pretty hard by this.
It's our second biggest city.
Yeah, but it is a city.
Yeah, but London in 2011, London was 42% English. Is that a problem?
Oh, is this the John Cleese thing that you went over?
Yeah.
Okay, 42%. So 58% of the city population was foreign born?
Yes, or not non-English, I think. It's not
wait, hold on.
How they identify this.
Well, hold on, wait. Are they foreign born? Or are they non-white?
They're not non-white, they're non-English.
What is English?
English is an ethnic identity.
Oh, I don't care about ethnicity. I thought we were talking about culture. You're talking about an ethno-state right now.
No, because
No. We're talking about culture, my friend. You're talking about the English ethnicity.
Ethnicity doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, but that is the culture.
No, culture and ethnicity are two different things, my friend.
Why don't you look at
this is the exact problem I got in last stream. Sorry, he's not saying ethnicity is race. He's not using the term.
I never said race. I said ethnicity.
Or not Vaush. Sargon. I did not mean Vaush. Sargon does not like foreigners. Vaush fucking could care less.
We're talking about culture.
Right, but you think it's okay for there to be colonies of people who identify away from the majority identity of a country, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. Why don't you are you talking about race, culture, ethnicity? What are you even talking about now?
Ethnicity and culture are essentially synonyms.
That is also a Nazi argument. That's very fascinating to me. Wait, really quickly. I have an open question to you, okay? Wait, really quickly.
It's a Nazi argument.
Yes, because ethnically...
Didn't they talk racially?
Ethnically, I am Polish. I'm Polish.
That's great.
Okay.
No, racially,
hold on.
Ethnically, you're American.
Wait. Polish isn't a race. Oh God, do you not know the difference between ethnicity and race? Do you not know?
Let's just decide on a definition and move on, guys.
Look.
Well, wait. But no. Wait. I'm trying to ask a direct question here. So ethnically, I'm Polish, and I grew up with people of different ethnicities who are all white and all American. We're different ethnicities, but we share a culture. So I don't really care about
races.
This.
Well, what is your race?
We were different ethnicities.
You're ethnically American. That's your ethnicity. That's how you identify.
You actually don't know what ethnicity means.
Ethnicity
let's just
your
agree
origins.
on a definition and move on. We don't need to argue
Your original
definitions
country.
for 30 minutes.
Okay, so what is this 42% English thing? I care about culture. That's what we're talking about here, not ethnicity.
Okay, London is culturally 42% English.
How do you describe this? How do you know?
Wait,
are 58% of them don't identify as?
The census.
Yeah,
do you identify
know
as
what's going
English
on.
or French or European or whatever?
What was the census question exactly?
Well, I'd have to look it up.
Was it what culture do you identify with, or was it what ethnicity you identify with?
What is your ethnic identity?
I see. Okay. Maybe you want to move on to a different talking point, my friend. We can talk about culture. I'm just not here for your weird ethno-state stuff. That's kind of weird.
I'm not talking about weird ethno-state stuff. I mean, like, do you think there aren't any black English people?
Yes, there are. I agree.
So what's the problem?
I don't know. What is the problem?
Okay,
are black Americans ethnically American, or what are they?
Well, ethnically, I think at this point they would just be considered African American because they don't have a clear lineage back to whatever African country they would have been taken
from. But they're ethnically American.
Yes.
No, and my family's ethnically Polish-Irish. I have a shillelagh hanging above my father's den.
Let me fix. Sargon is conflating. We had this argument for like 2 hours last week with Sargon.
It was fun. I loved it.
The definition of ethnicity that I believe Sargon's operating under is the one that you find if you just Google the word, which says the fact or state of belonging to a social group that is a common national or cultural tradition. Now, I agree that in America, it's typically not used in that way, which is where I think the confusion comes from.
Ethnicity, in a census sense, is usually used to refer to country of origin.
Yep.
But you can be culturally British.
Incorrect.
You can be culturally British.
Stop.
Whoa, Carl! Interrupting Carl! Triggered Carl over here. Can't handle 6 sentences on his own.
No, it's about self-identity, Vaush. Self-identity. The British census is entirely done by self-identity.
So, how does that work?
Let me see a copy of the British census. Hold on.
Google it.
Yeah.
What the fuck is self-identity?
This is what the whole joke about Kekistan is.
What was the point that? What was the point that you're making? Go ahead.
The point I'm making is that if most of London does not identify as English, at what point do we say maybe we should stop immigration?
Right. What do you mean identify as English? I don't know what that means.
When most of Birmingham no longer identifies as English, do we sit there and think?
What do you mean identifies as English?
What's confusing about that?
You're saying, what do you mean? You're saying that on the census, people choose how to identify, and you're saying people choose not to identify as English.
That's correct.
Okay.
And at what point do we say how many English cities should be full of people who are not English?
I don't know what these questions mean. Are we talking about ethnicity or culture? I thought we were talking about culture.
I don't know how else to explain it. Self-identified.
We're not a white ethnicity.
Self-identified in an ethnic sense. Yeah.
Yeah, we're waiting for an answer from you, Vaush. Like, is it legitimate to say once like the 2 largest cities in England now have hardly any English people in them?
What do you mean English people? Also, what do you mean hardly any? Why do you keep using language like this? How many of our cities must fall to the scourge of the non-English? Just ask me what the fuck. Wait. Can I phrase this for you? I thought this was your fucking job. Holy shit. To what extent do you think English cities should be subjected to non-English culture before we have a problem? Like, why is it so difficult for you to ask simple questions without throwing in a bunch of loaded horseshit? The 2 largest ones
are minority English. I think that we've had too much immigration.
Why does it matter? Why?
I mean, I don't know. I thought we already agreed earlier that 2% of the. I'm trying to answer.
About 3? When the 3 largest English cities.
This isn't how I look at cultural changes. I legitimately don't care about these criteria.
This is why
just because like there's like the English are becoming a minority ethnicity wise doesn't have anything to do with the question of a culture change. It's just an ethnic change. And it's not a forced ethnic change. Right. So I just said it was an enforced ethnic change, so it doesn't seem like it's sounding like ethnic cleansing. Yeah. Yeah, so Sargon's gonna kind of have to put that link together for me for how just English people being minorities in the ethnic sense, how that has anything to do with culture being, like English culture becoming a minority or whatever, not the predominant culture in the region.
Nazis, Vaush.
Well, no, we're actually getting Nazis according to the.
Of course, he's doing that Nazi thing where they have to be dishonest with their views. He can't just fucking be straight out honest. Are you kidding me? Because then people wouldn't take him as seriously. But we know. They know. His fans know. Yeah.
According to the Nazis, we're getting Nazis from you, actually. I wouldn't want to talk about what's leading to Nazis because they keep pointing at you. See, if we were all adults here, we could deal with immigration sensibly and actually discuss the problems with immigration. But because of people like you who are exclusively dedicated to whining like children about perceived cultural impact from immigration, we get Nazis because we no longer have people having sensible discussions.
So it's not that people are afraid of the changing environment around them.
I listen to the Nazis when the Nazis tell me who radicalized them.
And that's making them Nazis.
Would they, Vaush, would they be turning to the personalities that you are saying they're turning to if the immigration wasn't a problem?
I mean, throughout at least American history, because I'm limited to that, every single time we have a big jump in immigration from a foreign culture, people like Carlgon over here jump over to talk about how this is the death of America. It happened with
the people, though. But you're not answering the question.
Well, no.
I don't remember the mob
levels of immigration over time.
Yes, and every time the country keeps ticking on strong. It's really strange. We had a huge jump with the Chinese. We had a huge jump with Mexicans. We had a huge jump with Italians. We had a huge jump with the Polish. We had a huge jump with the Irish. We had a huge jump with the Germans back a little bit after the states were formed after the Revolutionary War. Why does Carl get to just talk over me?
Because you interrupt people all the time. You're constantly going on. You are constantly.
The difference is the moderator will call you out when I interrupt. The moderator will call me out when I interrupt you, but you just get to do it. Cucked mods.
You are engaging with what I've just said.
So, hold on. Really quickly, I want to point out, every single time this happens, every time there's a huge spike in immigration that leads to a demographic displacement and a ton of cultural changes in major American cities, there are people like you who talk about how this is the death of the empire, how all classic American values are going to die, and every single time, they end up being wrong. So, something tells me, there's something to this cycle I think we can learn of, because I love learning. I love learning from the cycle. And what it suggests to me...
the cycle you're ignoring, Vaush.
Let me finish.
Is that there are times in your history where you contract immigration as well.
What does that have to do with the point I just made? He's doing the supervillain laugh again, the anime shit.
No, Vaush, right? You're saying America has a wave of immigration and it doesn't collapse the empire. And I'm saying, yeah, that's because after the wave of immigration, that goes down and it contracts immigration.
The proportional amount of people we received in those waves of immigration would dwarf what you're dealing with right now with Pakistani or Syrian refugees.
So what? We're a smaller country.
So are you suggesting people think you've taken? Are you so? So obviously there is a prior pattern of people hyperbolizing the downsides of immigration following a spike.
Immigration.
After a few years or decades, it's been a few years.
Yes, and we have had 20 years of mass immigration.
Wait, are we talking 20 years of mass Muslim immigration?
Yes.
I thought we were so you're telling me that the current spike that's taken place since the Syrian refugee crisis is consistent with the spike that was taking place
over 20? Syrian refugees, you goober.
So it has nothing to do with that at all.
No. We took hardly any. That's what the Calais migrant camp was. That's what they were whining. You should take some immigrants, refugees. No, we take just natural immigration, legal, normal immigration, nothing to do with the refugees.
Okay, then why do you want to end? Wait. Then if that's it, why do you want to end all immigration? Why not just cut it down a little bit? Because we've had
open borders for 20 years.
You haven't had open borders. If they did, you could literally swim across the channel. No, that's not what open borders are.
Actually, that's what happened for a little bit.
Really? You can just swim across the channel and instantly become an English citizen? Really?
No, obviously.
No, okay, so shut the fuck up. Open borders have a definition. I know you're so inclined to believe that words don't have actual definitions.
You are just not listening, right?
So they don't have open borders. Why don't you just reduce immigration a little bit?
Are you talking about immigration or naturalization?
That's what I'm asking for, Vaush.
Wait. Just a little bit.
To a child.
Whoa. So a little bit of immigration cut down. You're talking about an almost complete end to immigration, specifically with Islamic immigration.
Yes, completely.
That's not what I just suggested.
Zero. I love my zeros, Vaush.
And?
Vaush, do you understand that you have literally argued your way around to my perspective?
What's my perspective on this exactly?
You just said, why don't we reduce immigration a bit? And I'm like,
when have I ever been opposed? I said multiple times over this that immigration can have downsides and should be moderated.
What are you hostile about? I'm pointing out the downside.
I don't even know.
Yes, you are pointing out the downside and then suggesting an end to Islamic immigration. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's not what I'm advocating for. I'm advocating for sensible immigration policy that cuts it down a little bit.
Sensible.
So Vaush, you're not pro open borders?
It may be like hundreds of years from now. I don't think our system today could survive that.
I'm pro open borders.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree.
Sounds like we have some agreement then.
No, not really. Because, and this is, again, this is another example, and I would love it if I could go for at least 30 seconds without being interrupted. This is another example of how we agree on a problem, but have lunatic different opinions on how it should be solved. So I have never in my life...
You said, why don't you reduce immigration?
30 seconds.
Welcome back.
I have never in my life suggested that we should...
Finish.
I have never in my life suggested that we should just let everyone in, nor have I ever said that we should never restrict immigration. I said multiple times in this discussion that immigration can have downsides and should be approached sensibly, that policy shouldn't be made to just let everyone in. The issue here, of course, Sargon, is that the conclusions I derive from this is a sensible immigration policy where we slowly curtail in accordance with the cultural and economic needs of the country, not full stop end immigration from Islamic countries while talking about the Islamification of our state.
Perspective, right?
So Vaush is one of those criteria
and substance-wise,
that the cultural,
but
the
I think Vaush is winning substance-wise, but optically, it kind of it's kind of like a coin flip. Right now, at least, I think Vaush has had some standout moments, but I also think Sargon has been making him look silly.
I mean, it wouldn't be curtailing all Islamic immigration because of a relatively small jump in crime.
That isn't a leftist.
It's nothing to do
that
with
isn't aware or looking at the substance.
Culture.
Then why do you complain about Muslim rape gangs if it's not about crime?
Because I don't want English girls to get raped.
So you care about the crime. Why would you just lie about that then?
Yeah, but the thing is, it wasn't really treated as a crime. That's the problem. The police are just deliberately...
Don't weasel your way out of it. You said you don't care about crime. Now you care about crime. So the crime increase has been...
It wasn't
weaselly little Carl slipping his way out of that point. Now, of course...
You don't understand the situation. That's the problem.
Slithery snake Carl.
Really?
Yes.
Can we... I want to move on
categorically. Categorically, my God, man. You literally say, I don't know anything about this. And then when I explain it to you, you go, Weasley little Carl. You just don't know.
What? No, I called you a Weasley liar because you said you don't care about crime, and then you said you care about
crime.
Dude. And then, it's not treated as a crime. What the fuck are you talking about?
Look, I've explained it multiple times. If you can't understand what I'm talking about,
but you should watch the
Hassan clip. But the point is, Vaush, you actually
what a Weasley little liar, dude.
Nobody disagrees that people should sensibly engage in immigration policy.
What are the criteria for you, Vaush?
I am not familiar enough with the UK to outline an entire political...
America.
In America? Right now, American immigration is fine. I thought that's what we were going to talk about because I'm more familiar. American immigration is doing just peachy keen great.
1.3 million a year is peachy for you.
Yeah,
probably.
I don't have a
probably taken more
country. So
yeah, but do you not think that that's
just as it's a scary number, Carl? It's very big. I know it's very scary. No, it's fine. I'm cool with it. That's like 0.3% of our population.
I take influence on that from Trevor.
Do you not think that contributed to Donald Trump's success?
Immigrants coming into the country contributed to Donald Trump's success.
The scale
of is peachy great, dude. I don't know what you mean by that.
You don't think so?
No, the far right have been active in this country for over a century, whether or not we have high levels of non-white immigration.
ICE.
The New York Times.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Wait, dude, wait, really quickly. I should clarify. Does immigration lead to Trump getting voted in? No, of course not. Do fearmongers who complain about immigration lead to people like Trump getting elected? Yes.
This
yes.
dovetails nicely into the point.
I've got time for one more topic. It's going to take a lot. I hope I got a lot of super chats in this because I've got a lot of chemo.
I've got a response.
Good job.
Vaush seems to fail to understand that there are
working
actually people on the
classes,
ground
racial anxiety
who come into
and economic
contact
anxiety,
with immigration
right?
from
They just
cultures
fucking find the
with
in
which they
between
have
there, and that's how you
severe
get
value
fucking people like Trump
disagreements.
elected.
This is how I
For the
make
most
giant
part.
policy
Well,
decisions.
You're interrupting, Vaush.
For the most
Right, these severe value disagreements are why these people are opposed to immigration.
saying U.S.
You don't
immigration
need,
is
like, I mean, if there were no far-right commentators, then
we could
they
have
would be
more,
raised
you know
up
what I'm
through the
saying? You know
natural
what I'm
demand
saying?
of these
Like, we
people to
should
have someone
probably
represent
take in
the
more,
position
you know?
of the
There, I
country
turned down the
around us is
video. I hope
changing,
that
and we
y'all
didn't
can hear
ask for
me
this.
better.
Yeah, just like
That's
every
the thing
other
that's
immigration
unfair.
period in this country.
So
I don't care. This is such a this
immigration.
is such a feelings over facts argument. Some people are upset about their culture changing.
Yes, it's entirely about that.
Oh, okay, well, my facts don't care about your guys' feelings. Terribly sorry.
What people vote
Vaush,
on their feelings, not on your facts, dummy. This is
People
what you're gonna get for
facts
5 years.
influence feelings, like the fact,
dude.
for example, that immigration
really.
that immigration increases economic output,
Fucking
or the
you about
fact,
that,
for
dude.
example, that
Facts
this
don't care
country has
about
been
your
built from
feelings,
immigration
dude.
for 2,500 years. So,
Fucking
Do facts influence people's feelings?
ended his life.
what kind of counterpoint is this?
Adam, do facts influence?
Weren't conservatives supposed to be the
facts
fact-oriented
influence
one, and now you guys are the
people.
ones who are
Yes.
whining about personal accounts of
Is he just
situations to try
trolling?
and justly
Yeah,
broadly justify a larger point.
From
Vaush,
what I'm
Those
looking
are
at,
the ones
he's
with the feelings.
since he's only playing offensive, he's not really offering too much
Feelings
substance. He's
shape
just
the
trying to
facts.
pick apart
I can't even hear what Carl's
Vaush's
saying.
points on minute details,
Feelings
right?
shape the facts.
He has
fact,
been
shape
doing
the
some
feelings.
like
It's a
obvious
beautiful
trolling,
interplay.
right? So
But when
if
I like to talk
had
about
to
immigration,
guess, I would say
when
that
I
he
like to
came here
influence
generally
immigration policy, when I like to talk about big immigration policy decisions, I usually don't like to rely on, but have you heard about the people in the street who are being hurt by this? That doesn't usually.
Vaush, your entire argument is appeal.
Also, no. Everything that I've said is pretty factually backed up. Also, the majority of the people opposed to immigration in Britain live in 95% plus white towns and villages. These aren't people. Wait. London and Birmingham vote mostly Remain. The areas that are being affected most by this immigration are the ones most fine with it. It's the dipshit rural. It's the rural fucking whiteys that are terrified because of people like you.
Evil rural whiteys.
Yeah, well, they're the ones who voted.
Evil rural.
Yeah,
Are your feelings hurt, my dude? You don't like that argument?
Yeah.
Alabama is the poorest state in the union. Like to go after
what does that have to do with what I just said? What did
did
I bring up wealth at any point during what I just said?
No, you called out Alabamans on the stream, and I was thinking,
was
man, like they're poor people. Man.
What does that is it fun like trying to divert points to protect Carl? Wait. Is it fun for you to try and divert away from points that blow Carl's argument the fuck out when he's suggesting that on the ground interaction with people of different cultures is what caused people to be anti-immigration, but in reality the majority of anti-immigrant sentiment comes from majority white villages? Which completely blows that argument the fuck out.
Let's move on to the last point.
Last point, and it's quick.
Yeah. So you made an argument that people are turning to these different personalities and becoming far right, and Sargon seemed to be making the argument that immigration is the reason for that they see the culture changing around them and that frightens them.
No,
you haven't really taken a position on what you think sensible immigration should be based on, whether it's economics or culture. But I'm curious. Do you think that these personalities would have such sway in the
moderators reminding you of
immigration was cut off? Immigration wasn't an issue.
Do you think that the not the neo-Nazis?
Yes,
do you think the original Nazi party would have been able to rise to power if there were no Jews to put a scapegoat on?
But they won't.
Well,
this is a direct parallel to your question. The existence of a scapegoat class does not necessarily mean that they are the problem. It is entirely possible for far-right personalities to rise up scapegoating those groups. That does not mean they are at fault.
Bad. But
so you're saying they would scapegoat
Vaush did have some standout moments
that are already.
It has been happening for hundreds of years. Yes.
Good job on that front.
Okay. So,
however, Vaush had a lot of bad or mediocre moments.
The thing is, right? You're not engaging with the actual factual reality on the ground here, right?
The factual reality on the ground, where you list a bunch of anecdotal arguments with no sources to back up.
Let him finish.
Well, what sources? What would you like a source for?
I want a source for your
if we're
feelings.
being fair,
Write out your
in
feelings
this situation, Vaush was set up for failure from the
well,
get-go.
it's not my feelings that would be the problem. It's the feelings of the people who are going to vote for
Sargon
Nazis.
planned to just play
As I said,
offense
I don't
and
think the
offer no
existence of a group
substance,
to
so thus he
scapegoat
gets
means that the
little
group that is
critiquing
scapegoating them is in the
compared
right.
to Vaush,
But you accept
who
that there
is
are
actually
problems with
offering
immigration.
substance.
There are
but
problems
is
with
the
almost
only thing
every
that is
civic
subject to
practice in
critique
existence.
because it is
There are
the
problems
only
with
stuff
universal
being
welfare.
offered.
I agree. Can we talk
Oh, I
about
see
the
what you're
problems of
saying, a world
immigration
flow.
without scapegoating immigrants?
I have done so, and have done so on my channel as well.
Right. And so is the changing nature of the culture that is being spread further and further out from these enclaves in, say, something like Birmingham, something we can talk about without scapegoating immigrants?
You can absolutely... When have I ever said you can't talk about it? Why are you posturing, ascribing to me positions I don't hold? I have never said you can't talk about it.
Okay, that's fine. You can just say yes, right? So is it fair
Vaush has a really good moment
English
when he
people
was just ranting
to look
hard,
at
but his
the
true
sort of
colours
new
were showing, and
Pakistans
he
that's
was
springing
straight
up
facts.
across their
Yes.
country and saying, actually, I'm
True,
not in
dude.
favor of this?
When he was going
When
fucking
they can
in,
have
dude,
whatever
fucking purple
feelings they
Vaush
want
going
today.
in, looking
But
like his
the
fucking
people who live in these areas are more
looking
likely
like
to be
his,
supportive of immigration than those who live away
it
from
used
the
to be his avatar,
Pakistanis.
That's not
or
true.
maybe it's
It
just
is
his, maybe it's
factually
his
true.
banner.
Then why are
Oh,
all of the
this guy.
Remainers the ones who live in
Looking like
big
this guy.
cities?
Because they're
Over
the
here.
immigrants that vote.
Really? It's all...
Bottom
Oh,
left
it's
of
all
this
the immigrants
thumbnail.
voting.
Listen,
The non-citizens as well? They just snuck that in?
What non-citizens?
All the non-citizens, the non-citizen immigrants.
Ooh, I don't know. Does anyone in the stream know?
Illegal immigration isn't a problem for us. We don't have like 6,000
You
miles.
missed a huge part. Oh yeah, Vaush was
We're an
going.
island. We don't have a problem with illegal immigration.
Right, so the
problem we have is
massive
illegal.
disparity
You
between
can't
the
hear me again?
majority white,
Bruh.
heavy leave rural areas of the UK and the heavy remain majority diverse communities in your big cities, that's just because of immigrants voting. There's just no
I'm
association
turning it down a
whatsoever
little bit.
between
so I hope-
engaging with a minority
Immigration and
community.
people who are
Can you hear me?
benefiting
Your
from it.
original point was that people are like, I see a lot of cultural changes in my area, and that makes me want to vote for Nazis. But the people who are voting for the right aren't in contact with the foreign groups that you claim are leading them towards that direction. Also, if you actually cared, why wouldn't you advocate for anti-far right policies? Nothing you say right now is consistent.
I am advocating for an anti-far right policy. Open borders is a pro-far right policy.
What? No, it isn't.
No. The far right does. Then why do the far right all advocate against
because
open
they
borders?
fucking thrive on it. Do you understand?
What the
you
fuck
having
are you
open
talking
borders
about?
is you saying I want Nazis. That's what you're saying.
What?
What?
I
That's why you
don't
got
want
Trump.
open
That's
borders.
why you got Brexit.
What are
It'll
you
get worse if it
talking
doesn't
about?
change.
Oh,
Wait,
I
the
get what you're
far
saying.
right wants open
I'm
borders,
amazed
and
at
I
how
The
also...
far right wants talk of open borders. The far right doesn't want open borders. Well, I mean, I guess he's saying more so that it would benefit the far right because then he's saying right-wing politicians would be like blah 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 blah. Hey, this bad blah 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 blah, and then be able to capitalize on fucking people's like economic anxiety and racial anxiety even more by being able to offer even bigger scapegoats and people being even more scared of those scapegoats that are coming in.
So
you
one
say,
open
what are you
borders?
talking about? And
Do you
think
have
that
any
other people
idea
don't
what the
understand?
fuck you're saying? Wait, so the
Do
far
you?
right wants open borders, but I want open borders, and that's why
They-
Nazis happened?
They love open borders. It gives them power.
Oh wait, so
You
they don't
understand?
want it. They just like scapegoating it.
Mm-hmm.
I've already said
Good
I don't
way
care
to pin
what
him
they
down on that,
scapegoat.
Vaush.
Whether or not Nazis are able to exploit the sensibilities of stupid white people has nothing to do with whether or not their positions are valid.
All right, closing
It doesn't
statement,
matter
guys.
whether
Yeah,
that-
closing
that-
statements.
It doesn't matter that you're going to get Nazism if you carry
Closing
on.
statements. All right, I'm ready. We can give Calgon the last word, so I'll hit it up. I have a throbbing headache from this. So this was a good 2v1. I think I did decently. My main issue here is that
I think it was
Sargon
a
failed to bring any
3v1,
actual
maybe
arguments.
2.5v1,
He
yeah.
constantly postures and pretends as though he cares about a tiny, tiny portion of the population, but he'll lie about essentially every broader empirical point to get there. He will absolutely break the pearl necklace apart when talking about a minor 2% reduction in wages to a specific sector given a large increase in immigration, but ignore the enormous economic increases that immigration bring to the country, including the lower portion of its wage earners due to broader economic efficiency increases and increases in trade policy. He will break his neck throwing a fit over the poor whiteys in England who are super concerned with all the Pakistanis coming in, while ignoring the fact that the people who voted leave, the people who are most at odds with the existence of Pakistanis in their country, are the whites in rural areas who never see a brown person. Whereas the people who actually live in diverse communities and day-to-day interact with the Pakistanis are themselves much more receptive to immigration, because studies have shown that being in the company of minority groups drastically increases your willingness to engage with them, to live in a society with them. So again, it was really fun. There was a lot of interlocution. I think we got through maybe 15 minutes worth of talking points in 3 hours and 10 minutes, but that's okay. It was mostly here for the experience. Hopefully Carl over here brings some facts next time, but his feelings were able to hold him up this time.
Hey Vaush, I don't want you to storm off for a second, because I do want to thank you.
I'll wait for Carl to finish. I'm not going to run off.
I hate to interrupt Carl, but I'm just curious, Vaush, because like you had a really good debate with Paul Vanderklay. Like you don't always get this.
That's because Paul Vanderklay was a good faith actor. Sargon is not.
Why do you not think that Sargon is
the fact that you were participating and a witness to this debate and you don't understand the difference in decorum? It was just that you don't understand the difference.
He's insulting you, though. You're calling him stupid. You're throwing insults right and left. I mean,
I don't care for your civility politics. I think acting in bad faith is far worse than insulting the person who is acting in bad faith.
That is acting in bad faith.
No, not necessarily.
No. Okay, sure. Paul Vanderklay was an intelligent, kind, receptive person interested in having a conversation on a topic he actually cared about. Wasn't just lying over.
Spent half his day here with us. Why do you think he's not interested in an intelligent conversation?
Okay, so why the fuck does Iman give a fuck? Shut the fuck up,
I'm terribly sorry, Adam, but if he's your friend, I understand. I can't make you see what I see.
Well, I'm not. I just wonder why you. I mean, even just for the sake of argument, you could just say, pretend that he's coming to you in good faith, and we could argue the issues. I understand. I
have spent the majority of this discussion trying to actually hone in on the points rather than posture and misdirect back to points that previously made.
I don't want you to think that I don't think.
No, the mod is a right wing
actors in the world. I very much do. I think those bad faith actors exist. I don't think Sargon is one of them. Until you engage in an honest conversation with these people, you really don't ever know.
So, my channel is dedicated to engaging in good faith conversations with people who I strongly disagree with. But some people who I disagree with act in good faith, and some people don't. And that's fine. When I came on here, I knew what I was getting into. It's not like Sargon's history indicates anything else.
I think I've said that's in bad faith.
Sargon, I thought you were going to end on this. I thought you were going to have your closing moments. I guess this can be the last thing I say. You are critically retarded.
Oh, Vaush, what the hell, dude? No need for the able.
We're done with the discussion. We don't have to be like super civil now. That's my opinion of you. You're very stupid, and I also think you're very far right as well. And I don't think you're smart enough to understand your own positions.
I'm very.
Why don't you just market yourself as a conservative?
Because I don't really think that's an appropriate label.
Okay. I mean, you're free to feel that way. I respect your identity. But at the end of the day, like, I really do think you're a disgusting human being who contributes negatively to public discourse.
All right. Thanks, Vaush.
Go ahead, Sargon. You have the floor. You have your final
I have been persuaded by Vaush's very mild and kind mannerisms and manners. I agree that the working class are the people we need to help, and we need to do that by lowering their wages and making their day-to-day lives more difficult by introducing thousands and thousands of people with whom they can't even really interact. I think that when they say that they don't like this, we should tell them to shut the fuck up, because they're just stupid, poor white people who don't know what they're talking about.
Okay, got it. So there's the bad faith id-pull argument to lower it off. We good?
We have a bunch of super chats to read. You guys are welcome to stick around for them. Either
I'll stick around.
You're welcome to go or stay. Vaush, it's your call.
If there's like a super chat or two that's directed at me, I can respond to that. But then
we're the ableist whatsoever. They're bad faith. Well,
there might be some insults, so
I'm fine with that.
The super chats directed at you are not questions.
Are there any questions there? If there are just insults, then you can respond with to all of them with yes. Whatever I get, you can just be like, Vaush would have said yes.
They're mostly insults, yes.
Okay, well, that's fair enough.
That's funny.
All right, well, in that case, I'm probably going to head. It has, as always, been a tremendous pleasure. Carl, try not to crash any political parties over the next decade, and yeah.
Even far-right ones? Shouldn't you be my biggest fan?
honestly, I really genuinely
You're
believe
secretly pro far right, aren't you?
you are the
You're loving
failure.
it.
You are the failure from which
You're looking at the far right and going, "Oh, I'm tempted."
you are the failure
So
from which
tempted.
competent far right people learn. So I would actually appreciate it if you didn't fail anymore, because you're like a good dowsing
changed your
rod for them.
Which are you talking about? CNN analyst Richard Spencer?
What?
Oh, who is learning from me?
I mean, I've talked about multiple far right figures who say that you're a good entry
is
point.
learning from me in the far right?
Are you asking for names?
Name the Nazi. Yes.
You said Nick Fuentes already, I thought.
Do you think
Name a far right person who is learning from me, Vaush.
I mean, Nick Fuentes and Richard Spencer and Daily
how is
Stormer
Nick
officials
Fuentes's-
have all said
How are their
that you are.
numbers?
Wait, you asked me. They have all said that you're a good entry point to the alt-right because you
But
essentially
why is
reiterate
the
their
alt-right
basic
not
positions.
very big.
And
Why?
this
Well,
has
I've got a
what?
million subscribers. Richard Spence has like 3,000 or something.
What?
Why don't my subscribers?
Yeah. Richard Spencer influence is limited to his YouTube channel. That's true.
That's
true.
correct.
But why aren't they
He's
following?
not
Richard
good
Spencer
point.
on the
Yeah, and
opposite
like I
side.
said, I thought the
debate
Sargon
was
of Akkad
over
is the
that, by the
failure
way.
from whom they learn. They come to you
Just
because they
saying.
wait. Why am I getting caught here again? I've already mentioned this like 3 times. They come to you because you're like the proto. You're like the beginning. You're anti-SJW,
Okay.
anti-feminist, anti-immigration, anti-Islam, and then they realize you're cucked because you don't realize that the Jews are behind it
Because
all.
I'm not a Nazi. Yeah.
And they, yes,
But
because you're not.
The thing is,
Yes, because you're not a
but
Nazi,
the
and then they
pipeline
jump to
isn't
Nazis.
actually- yeah, but
I know
no,
it's
but
not
the
actually
pipeline
real
isn't
because
getting that far.
acknowledging that it exists would impugn you to
No, but
hell.
the pipeline just
God.
doesn't arrive there.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I
they
know.
don't
I mean, there's
have
been
a large
there's been
grassroots
actual
audience. I
data.
do.
There's actual
I
data.
thought they're done
on
with this
this,
fucking
so-
debate,
Yeah, but
dude.
what's
What's
their
going
reach?
on?
What's
I
their
don't
audience?
What
care about
reach? What
this.
audience? What are you talking about?
No, that's the question. What reach? What audience? Why is it that I've
Why,
got like
why are
people
you defending
who
this
watch
point? I was
me?
about to head out. So wait, what is the
Why
size of
is
the
it that
alt-right?
millions of people watch me and millions of people don't watch them if I am a pipeline to them?
Because a smaller portion of your audience
What?
gets funneled
This
off to
makes
them.
no
I didn't say it was
sense.
a 1-to-1 ratio.
It's literally a minuscule amount, isn't it?
I mean,
Still,
that
wait, what
depends
are you
on how many
admitting?
Nazis you
He's
think
admitting
we're
it. What the
radicalizing is
fuck?
minuscule. You were really
I-
worked up about 2% earlier.
hardly any.
I would be willing to bet that more than 20,000 people have been worked into farther right positions than you're comfortable with from your content. If 2%
Okay, but
is
I'm
the
willing to bet
threshold
that
for what we have
millions
to
of
care
people
about.
have become more moderate.
Gotcha.
because
All
of
right.
mine.
As long as the majority of your fans don't literally become neo-Nazis. I gotcha. All right.
Yeah, he's admitting that he's
Aren't
fucking
you
radicalizing
radicalizing
Nazis.
people to a certain extent?
No,
Vaush?
I have been
mean,
very clear and also denouncing the tankies. I have pulled people away from being tankies,
Well, that's good.
justifying
And
Stalin.
I've never denounced the alt-right.
Yeah, except you look like a fool every time you do, and then you go around making their arguments anyway. I don't make tanky
But
arguments.
and yet
I
they still
never
keep losing.
make tanky arguments about, say, example, killing the landlords or the blood of the business owners who run through the street or the USSR iconography. I don't
In a
make
video
those
game.
arguments.
Yeah, but okay, wait a minute. I'm gonna
Wait,
jump in here.
wait, I was
Wait a
going
minute.
to go. What the fuck?
Because this has been going on for like the same point.
But I've already illustrated this, or I've already
No,
expressed.
because you're making the same point. You just defended the same point that you're making at Sargon. Because Sargon will say, "I have a problem with immigration for XYZ reasons, but I'm not saying that they should kill people." And then you say, "Well, I have problems with landowners, but I'm not saying you should kill people." Like these are the same arguments that you're making.
What? No, I advocate for very sensible policies in regards to all of this. The issue
so
is
does
the issue.
Sargon.
Well,
He's not
the issue,
advocating for
the
neo-Nazi
issue,
policies.
The issue is that my positions are internally consistent, whereas Sargon's positions leave open questions. Hey, for example, really quickly, wait, really quickly. I can just do one, and then I'll leave. Okay, Sargon, you believe in cultural Marxism, right?
What do you mean by cultural Marxism?
Do you believe that there's kind of like not like a super conspiracy, but do you believe that there is sort of a collection of like far left-leaning people who are working through media and academia to like change the intellectual, academic, demographic nature of this country?
Do you mean social justice movement?
Is that, well, I just described what is referred to as the cultural Marxism conspiracy theory. If you've retooled it as the social...
What's the conspiracy? A conspiracy is in secret. This is just open. They say, I'm a social justice advocate.
No, I'm not saying
feminism. I fight
so
for this,
so
I fight
you
for that.
do believe that there are a group of left-leaning people who are trying to infiltrate media, academia to bring...
I don't know if Vaush being too temperamental necessarily harmed him in this debate. I don't know.
10 reasons why it's bad to be a white person and shit like this. Like,
I don't know what it was.
Wait. Why are they doing that?
Because they're radical leftists. Why else?
Wait. I'm radical leftist. I don't fucking hate white people. Wait, what about?
Okay.
What about? Why are they doing that?
Apart from if,
wait, really quickly. Why are they doing that? Are you saying that the far left is responsible for cultivating an ideology of anti-whiteness in this country?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. So why are they doing that?
Because they view white people as the eternal oppressors of non-white people.
Okay, who's a non-white group?
Well, what do you mean? Who's a
well, what you're describing right now...
Races that are not European.
Okay, well, really quickly, just so you know, what you're describing right now, and I'm not ascribing this position to you, so I want to be able to finish my point.
No, I don't know if I'd say Vaush is the Jewish question.
Everything that I just said. No, I know. It's very funny. But what you just described, as that is literally the Jewish question. Left-leaning, that leftist. Hold on. Well, that's the thing. That's the only jump a person needs to make. You believe that there is a leftist tradition in this country. And this is if you don't understand how you setting up the existence of a conspiracy and then of people, anti-white leftists trying to destroy the country because they view whiteys as the eternal oppressor. And then if you don't see the relationship between that and Nazis saying, oh yeah, all of that is completely true. It's just the Jews who do it. The Jews are using the left to perpetuate antagonism against the whites because Jews want to destroy the white race. This is literally the same. You've just swapped out.
I don't think Jews want to destroy the white race.
I know. I even specifically said I'm not ascribing this to you because you don't believe in the Jewish question. I'm telling you how easily you can move from one to the other.
Let him respond. Go ahead.
Because
God, I thought this was over. I don't.
Don't worry about the Nazi conspiracy. Okay, so are there large numbers of left-wing academics, journalists?
No, I think Sargon knows he's a white nationalist. I think he's playing
very much against what they call whiteness. Yes,
playing it more vague.
I don't care.
He's trying to be vague with it.
Wait, I understand perfectly. What do you mean by whiteness? Do you mean white people?
It doesn't matter. Whatever they mean by whiteness. Whatever they mean by whiteness.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what I think of it, right? But are they constantly going on about whiteness and white people? Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Are they pro-mass immigration? Yes.
Damn, why are they doing that? It's almost like a specific cultural group is trying to use mass immigration to culturally displace white people. I wonder who it is.
They're not Jews.
Damn! It's just such a small leap. You set them up, Carl. Anyway, just quickly clarify. Just quickly clarify. You will literally keep me here forever, and I don't care that much about you.
Something that's untrue.
Well, yeah, obviously.
What have I said that's untrue?
Obviously.
Do you really want me to spend my time debunking the Jewish question?
It's the fucking Italians, dude.
You're bringing up
Jews. It's the fucking Italians.
I think this
Italians and the Irish, goddammit.
I don't think Ben Shapiro is part of this conspiracy.
I don't
think it's a conspiracy at all. I think this is just a movement that's born out of the Enlightenment because of a particularly warped definition of the term freedom.
This is getting desperate.
That's what I think.
Whether or not you believe the point is legitimate.
What do you think about the Jews, Vaush? I mean, do you cite
you do want me to talk about the JQ?
You seem to want to talk about Jews.
No, I was trying to illustrate.
Why did you bring it up?
Because I was trying to point out that what you point out and advocate for is
doesn't Sargon claim to be a classical liberal? But didn't he also just critique the Enlightenment? Like, hold on, that sounds pretty fucking contradictory, dude. But hey, I'm not gonna point it out.
But doesn't it also require me to want to genocide people?
I didn't say you believe in the JQ. Are you actually okay, my dude?
Then why bring it up? Because I'm saying
this is actually astonishing. Right? I don't think you're capable of understanding basic jumps in logic.
This other thing is a real thing. I'm just observing reality.
Right. Yeah, they're just observing reality too. Yeah. Why are there so many people in media and academia who are Jewish? Yeah, they're just observing reality too. You actually can't connect the pieces.
That's not the same question. That's not the same question.
All right. It's been fun.
You don't seem to understand what I'm saying.
It's been fun.
No, Vaush,
I appreciated the conversation very much. I understand your discomfort.
Yeah.
All right. Holy
shit!
He
shouldn't have laughed, dude. That's making
that was so much worse than I was expecting. That's okay.
All right. Well.
Oh my.
I'm gonna join the Discord. We're gonna talk about it for a bit, and then I'm gonna end the stream. No, I didn't want him to leave. I kind of want him. Like, it looks bad for him leaving. Like, I wanted the debate to end, right? But I didn't want him to leave because that looks bad. Oh, did they leave the call? Darn. Well, I guess I'm just gonna end it here, y'all. You know, if you're new, drop a like. Or wait, I did that wrong. But if you liked the stream, drop a like. If you're new, subscribe and turn on post notifications. If you would join the Discord, if you haven't yet, the link is in the description. Very much appreciated if you do that. If you want to follow me on any other social media, that's also in the description. And if you would like to share up my channel with your leftist friends, maybe political friends, that'd be very appreciative. And actually, they're in general, so I'm gonna join you. Hello.
Yeah, how's it going? Sorry my audio quality is so bad, but yeah, no, that was a shit show. And yeah, no, not gonna go well for Vaush. He did not come out that looking good.
Yeah, I don't think it was very well, but you know, I think there was I think he did good comparatively, because he was set up for failure basically from the get-go. It was a 1v3 from the get-go, essentially.
I guess I don't know, man. He could have handled it better. Could have kept his cool.
Yeah, I don't know if him losing his cool necessarily was the reason why it went so bad.
But let me find the specific quote, because I sent a quote.
And also, I gotta end this.
Oh yeah, when he goes
because I already did my outro and stuff.
I was gonna say, you know, when he yelled every single time about something, right? He came off as whiny.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't necessary. It wasn't. You know, I don't think he did awful. I think there was a lot of good parts. Well, maybe not a lot, but there were some good parts, and then a lot of mediocre parts, and then some bad parts. But I think that he can improve upon those. But I guess we'll see.
You did get a ooh every. I mean, you did get a oh shit every once in a while from Vaush.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I mean,